Hello, everybody, and welcome to the September 2nd episode of Trips and Traps. I'm Andy Serling, joined by Donovan.
Last episode of Trips and Traps from beautiful Saratoga. We'll have 6 races to bring you in 2 separate segments. The first segment, all on the grass, and we'll take a look at the first race on the show here. This is race number 9 on August 25th. We're going to look at a few horses here in the early going of the race, and just kind of the way the race sets up really kind of sets the tone for the whole way that unfolds.
Right. The 7 TRIUNE breaks a step slowly, and didn't cost her the win. What cost her the win was the ride. You see the 1 horse on the inside, Too Clever by Half, who was clearly going to be the speed in this race, a stretch-out dirt sprinter for Chad Brown. Go. TRIUNE sends up with Alan Garcia. This was just after the rain. There was no reason to need to lead in any of these situations. The 11 horse Mayday Maria, the favorite for Todd Pletcher, she's there early. The rider, David Cohen, wisely drops her over. She gets an absolutely perfect trip. I don't know when she'll ever win a race. Like, she'll be burning money from now until like the end of time. TRIUNE will probably be winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf Race, and anybody that bet this horse's 15-1 shot first-time starter had to be crying on their way home.
Yeah, you're not going to get 15-1 on her again, that's for
Ever.
sure. But the way the race sets up down the backstretch here, I mean, TRIUNE going head-and-head with Too Clever by Half, and you see the 11 Mayday Maria just sitting that perfect spot there in third, and the actual winner comes from fourth. Harlan's Holiday just behind Mayday Maria. Well, not just behind, about 7 or 8 lengths behind. Harlan's Ruby. I'm sorry.
Harlan's Holiday might have come out of retirement with that trip, too.
Yeah, Harlan's Holiday would have won this race quite easily, I think, as well.
It looks like the personal Ensign, the way they're gapped out, to be perfectly honest.
It does, yeah. I mean, just the way the pace sets up here, I mean, you have to be thinking at this point, okay, someone who's not on the screen right now, is probably going to be, a horse to be reckoned with in the stretch, but you also have to think that the 11, Mayday Maria, should really fire her best shot here.
And she really never picks it up at all. There's a long shot runs third, Mount Holiday. That horse got just the great setup with his duel, but I don't really think I could say enough about TRIUNE. The performance she puts in. You'll see in the stretch that Too Clever by Half is ultimately virtually eased by her rider in this race, Javier Castellano. TRIUNE's still battling it out. Now, TRIUNE will get bumped by the winner, and actually fouled by the winner as that horse goes by. There was an inquiry, and they rightly let it stand because it didn't affect the order of finish. The order of finish was Alan Garcia's choice to do what he did with TRIUNE, because if he had just rated her and sat her second in this race, she never would have lost.
And we just highlighted the 9 Mount Holiday there, a first-time starter from the Mark Henning barn, who was well back early on. It comes with a good late finish here. I just think the way that her finish is through the stretch is that it's kind of set up by the pace scenario, and maybe next time out, even though she's going to have a nice big run from last to get third in this spot here, maybe next time out you have to take it with a grain of salt and say she probably was really helped by the pace here.
Right. The other thing is, how many of these super, super deep closers do you really want? And as you said, she's not going to get the kind of setup. Too Clever by Half's a little interesting next time she comes out, because if you liked her in this race, you can draw a line through it and give her another chance in here. TRIUNE is going to be winning every stake she runs in this fall and whatever, unless some monster shows up, because I think TRIUNE's one of the most impressive 2-year-olds I've seen at the meet this year.
Turf and dirt?
Fillies? Are these fillies?
Yeah, fillies, yeah.
Fillies? Both, I'll say, because I haven't seen any fillies that have electrified me so far at this meet on turf. It's just ridiculous how good TRIUNE is.
All right, we'll turn the page here to the 7th race from August 26th, taking a look at some turf sprinters here, the 2 ELECTRA'S Ego and the 3 Mississippi 2.
Yeah, this is a race where it's more of a dynamics discussion. ELECTRA'S Ego was the favorite in here, and she sets a monstrously fast pace, and she won't really give it up until pretty late in the stretch, around the 16th pole in this race. The 3-horse Mississippi 2 actually finished his second in here. I mean, she just took advantage of it sitting on the outside. Royal Rhetoric, who won at a perfect trip. All these horses that came from so far back. Hennessy Light in here. I mean, just look at the chart of the race, and you can see that it's one of these topsy-turvy races. And ELECTRA'S Ego, I think, ends up finishing 8th out of 11 in here. If she ever gets down to Belmont and gets in a race where the pace is just fair, she's going to win, and the orders in this race could be completely reversed.
Well, I don't know what to make of ELECTRA'S Ego here, because it looks like she's going fast, on her own power. It's not like she's really being hounded by 2 or 3 other horses here, and they're vying, head and head down the backstretch here. She set the fast pace, no doubt about that, but it looked like she was doing it, at her own will. And we'll see Mississippi 2 back there sitting the perfect trip. So I don't really know what to do with ELECTRA'S Ego here.
Well, I know the pace are sometimes tough to read here, but when you see them go 21.19 and the final time was 104. That was a fast pace, and it's just doing it on her own. She runs off from here. I just think this race completely collapsed. You don't see too many of these 5.5 races that totally collapse like this, especially, as you said, you didn't have a 3 or 4 horse duel in here. I think Electra's ego was just too eager or whatever the case was. But, I mean, look at them charging at the end.
Yeah, no, it's really a pace collapse there for Electra's Ego. Royal Rhetoric getting up to win at 8-1. So I guess Electra's Ego, a horse you have to consider next time out. Mississippi 2 really set a perfect trip there.
Yeah, I just don't want any of the closers when they get down to Belmont out of this race. And this was also just a little after the rain. I'm not. Electra's Ego is what she is, but I think the next time she runs in a fair situation, she'll probably win. On the other hand, she's starting to become a little bit close to a muddy burner, so we'll give her one more shot.
All right, one more shot for us here on this first segment of Trips and Traps, and we'll take a look at a maiden race from August 27th, race number 5. We're looking at Parting Words, 'Tis My Time, and Mirimichi Babe.
Yeah, and this was a race somebody sent us an email about. We appreciate with Mirimichi Babe. Thought it was a trap, and I tend to agree. She finished second with the ultimate perfect trip. Parting Words had some trouble. 'Tis My Time was in a little bit of traffic, not a big deal. This was a race, I don't know how good these horses are. And it was a fine ride by Johnny Velasquez on the winner with a perfect trip.
Yeah, it really does set a perfect trip with this 2-year-old filly, no doubt about it. We'll see, the pace kind of develop here between Emily and Busy Caroline. And this is a pace that I thought was very slow, and I was very surprised that these horses didn't hang around for more later on. We see the 6 'Tis My Time, a horse who had run over at Ascot for trainer Kenny McPeak, all in sprint races, has been her 3 career starts. She doesn't like being rated behind the slow pace here.
Yeah. 'Tis My Time is a funny horse to discuss in here, because she hasn't run here. She hasn't run a couple months when she was over in Europe, as you pointed out. She ran this huge race sprinting over in Europe. But, our sprinters have kind of an advantage over their sprinters over there, because they're really primed up for speed. And I'm not sure that that race performance where she ran against very good horses makes her, she's as good as she looks from that race. The horse in the lead, Irma Lee, is a horse we had done previously in Trips and Traps. She was 9-5. The pace was dramatically slow here, yet the race collapsed. When you see something like that, I have a hard time. I'm not saying the pace is wrong. I'm just saying I have a hard time believing at face value that it was a slow pace, because slow paces like this, and a horse that ran as well as this horse did, they shouldn't completely collapse.
Yeah, I agree. I was very surprised that the pace did not hold up here through the stretch. I mean, you'll see a couple of horses that we'll highlight now. Mirimichi Babe all the way in the back there, just getting back on the screen. And we also want to take a look at the 2 other horses we're looking at here, 'Tis My Time and Parting Words. They're going up to make a 4 and 5 wide move as they come to the top of the stretch. And I thought that move into this kind of slowish pace might have cost them. Mirimichi Babe, the horse that kind of sits back and gets to save a little ground, doesn't have to make that strenuous run around the turn, is the one that benefits here.
Oh, no question about it. I couldn't agree more. Mirimichi Babe got a great ride in this case. I think it was Regime Mirage, and she just came up short at a big price. To be better, it was sort of a lousy beat, because she was a big price. And there's Johnny giving this sensational ride to Excited, waiting, saving ground, coming through. And I give the horse credit as a first-time starter, a very well-bred first-time starter, to show the sort of professionalism to win this race. But it was a question of trips setting it up. And horses like Parting Words, particularly, are horses I think will benefit the next time they run, because they didn't have as advantageous trips as the others.
I agree 100% there. So we'll take a look for those 2 next time out. And Mirimichi Baby, a much shorter price than she was in this race here. So I think it's the kind of horse that you have to really look at carefully next time. And
it's just one of those, last time was the time. Yeah. Sorry, you bet him at a big price. Good bet, you didn't cast. Once again, we love hearing your thoughts. Trips and Traps at NYRAInc.com. We've appreciated your thoughts this year. Keep them coming.